Hey folks, how you doing? Captain Mark here, welcome to Kid Cochise Outdoors. Today's Tuesday, gotta get the video out. Tomorrow is Wednesday, however, and it's opening day of New York State Summer Flounder, or aka Fluke, we call it up here. Alright, so I can't do that. We'll be filming tomorrow the opening day footage, but that will be for, I guess, next week, alright? So thanks for joining us. Just recently I did a seminar for a local club here. As a matter of fact, this club right here. Let me zoom in on that. There you go. Nice shirt, huh? Extra large. I mean, I'm a woman's petite and I got an XL. I gotta tell these guys. Large, alright? The arms are extra large, but they don't make shirts like that. Alright, I love those guys though. They know how to take care of me. Homemade brew. Cuban cigars. Nice shirts. I'm gonna have to give that to my son Hunter. He's a little bigger than I am. And what we're going to do today is nothing crazy. I'm just going to do a couple excerpts from that seminar I did. And what we're going to touch on right now is tracking, how you track and target fish, alright? And how important tracks are, and man overboard is not as important as a track when it comes to fluking and catching fish on a certain drift. Alright, so let's start with that.
Come for the 5th, 6th, and 7th strike. This is just my point on this. He's just going to follow it and follow it and follow it. He's just looking at it. He's got zero problems keeping up. So what I'm just trying to keep this, he's telling you, is don't worry about feeding back. If he's there, he's pissed. He wants the bait. He just wants the bait to do something. It's not doing anything. So he wants that bait to react, and he eventually does it. I think that camera's divided and whacks at it. But that's their behavior. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want to see something change. Yeah, they just want, well, it's really hard. You can't do it fast enough, in my opinion. When you're doing this, I mean, I'll show you what it looks like with my other rod, where I usually fish. But my point is, on that last video, is you'll hear guys and it's old school people saying, all right, hit the man overboard, hit the man overboard. That fish had them 100 yards ago. That fish literally was following that thing from here to my truck. So where he hit is not where he was. So my point here is, I'm a machine guy. I'm a Simrad 6. What I do is, I'll just go like this. When I got people on the boat, I'll start my track. I clean track. So I'll track out. I go. The track is basically just start the track, fresh track. So now I'll put myself up current. I'll try to kind of work a piece of structure, like or drop off, whatever it is. If there's a lateral line I want to follow it, I can hit it. So I hit track. I just go. And I just look around. I go, anybody? And I just, you know, if you miss a fish, I go, if you miss a fish, who cares? You're not half a man because you missed the fish. I want to know if you missed it because there's fish there. If you don't miss it, then I'm losing that. I'm leaving that track. So what I'll do is, my point is to start that track, and then what you'll do is you're going to catch a fish 50 yards down the track. All right, cool. Another fish. All right, so we got on that track. So my point is, go back to the top of that track and run it again. That fish could have got us at the top of the track, and finally you did something funky that he did. So, and if he's a big fish, he may be with other big fish, but it's not at the man overboard. So if you're jumping, if the track is at the tip of this rod, and the strike goes at the man overboard here, and I'm like Mr. Smarty Pants going, I come up here on the short drift, I screwed myself. So just be forewarned that he may have been up here, he followed you here, you did the move that turned him on, and he bit. So that's another thing you want to do is, flying overboard is cool, maybe it's good for your records, like, hey, I got fish here. But more importantly, tracks are more important in my opinion. Follow a track, know your track if you have your own boat. And after you've done that, after you do that track, block it out, get rid of the track. Because fluke move where fish are, you know. Yeah, you'll get bigger fish in structure, but fish, as the season progresses, the silver-sized sandals come in there, and then they're all over the place. So they'll move wherever those baits are. They'll come in shallow, and just terrorize them shallow. So that man overboard doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a fluke there next week or next year. So, but the tracks are a much more effective way for you to catch fluke. So it's a whole psycho thing to understand fluke behavior. And their behavior, they're vicious freaking animals. I mean, I caught like 11 pounder. The thing like Mick Jagger's mouth was so big. You know, it's vicious. You're like, holy crap! You don't even go anywhere near it. And it'll mess you up. It'll mess any prey up. It'll rip snappers to pieces when they're feeding aggressively. They're doing scissor kicks, ripping them to pieces. So they're not little wussy fish. So when you set a hook on a fish, and I'm a big hook setter. This is my rig. This is my everyday bread and butter rig here. It's called a high-low. Yeah, I just like different things. I mean, I started dragging baits, weed baits. But this is the high-low here. The reason I kept the baits off it is so you can see what it is. This is a 3-yard bait holder hook. All right, it's got a reverse barb on it, so that will hold this guy tight. In other words, it won't pull off after all the strikes you can get. They're kind of stuck on there with the barbs, all right? So this is the rig I want to talk about real quick. This is the rig I really think you guys should really start to think about fishing. And it's got a, it's called a tactical angle clip on the tip. Tactical angle means that the current's pushing more, you got to need more weight, it pops off, pop the next guy on. Half ounce to 3/4 ounce. And it's two sides, it's like a combat reload. You have your things going up, you're scoping out. And scoping out is a big problem in fluke fishing. Scoping out means, if you guys don't know what scoping out is, I have to pretend to show you. Do you know what this one is? Show you what scoping out is. Scoping out is this. When you're on the boat and you see your line is from New Jersey, that's a problem, all right? I mean, it's just, it's not an effective way to fish these things. You're dragging these baits. When you catch fish, yeah, are you going to catch fish when you're right, when you're straight up and down? Vertical jigging is what we want to do. Catch tenfold more this way. So what you're doing is, I'm going to put this guy right here. You want that rod to be here or scope maximum there. So if it's going out to New Jersey, reload, combat reload with a heavier bucktail. He grabs it right there and just pass it, if you want to pass around, see what the high-low is. So now with this high-low system is now, he's got to pass it around, but the jigging on this high-low is as fast as that. Now I'm going to put it on the ground. When these fish are here, and especially in the spring, this is as fast as you go. If you can see this guy dancing down there, he's dancing as much as he can. It's like, which one wants to buy the, it's a question, which one's going to buy the first. And when you're doing this cadence, the key to this, it's a learning curve, no question about it. But when you have this cadence and you're ripping it, some guys like, look at this psycho's going like 100 miles an hour with that rod. You can't go fast enough. I mean, I remember the first guy saying, you want your mind? He says, like, what are you whipping rod, freaking bomb that holy. I'm like, So I go crazy, and you like I said, you can't go fast enough. So now you have this cadence, and something just was wrong with the cadence. You will pull, you got to take that rod and go as hard as you can. The fish in the fluke's mouth is extremely tough. I mean, if you ever seen one up close, that sounds like a good joke almost. But if you haven't seen it, you know, it's extremely hard. It's a very bony mouth. You can't blow the mouth out of the fluke when the hook's set. I mean, am I saying do the old thresher sharp 5 hook sets on it? No. But make sure when you have that weird touch on that jig, just blast as hard as you can. Either she's not going to be there, and the rod comes up and comes down a collar, which is a bonus I'll get to, or you're going to set the hook on it and you hook them up, or hook her up. Her being a female, just a quick note of fluking. Females are the fish that get big. Those are the fish that are over 6, 7 pounds. The ones that go, the females that live longer in the fluke life, I don't know if anybody knows that. They live probably 20 years. They can get up to 26 pounds. Males, unfortunately, live about 7 years. So that's just food for thought there. The bigger fish are the females. The females, I mean, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to bring home a 12-pounder? You know, probably 15-year-old fish. But when it comes to spawning, and I'm not a conservationist by any means, don't get me wrong, but the bigger fish have probably 4.5 million eggs in them when they spawn, the big girls. And then the smaller ones, like 15 inches, are having like maybe 500,000 eggs in them. So take pictures of them, dump them, or and let them spawn, or keep them and bring them home and show everybody. I don't judge either way, you know. But if you guys feel like having a good thing and throwing back a big girl, you know, she's a huge spawner and she's putting a lot more eggs on it than anything else. You know, you can take a quick cell phone. All right, guys. The next important tip here is real important. All right, it's when you're pulling meat baits. And when meat bait is basically a 3-way, a sinker, and a piece of meat on it, be it a spearing squid combo with a squid strip and spearing, or a fillet of bunker, bluefish, sea robin, whatever it is. What you're gonna really have to understand is the behavior of a fluke when he follows the bait like that. Okay, what he's gonna do is he's gonna eat it as long as you have some motion to it. And that's the key here is motion. All right, you want to motion and constantly move that rod tip and make that bait move and kind of trigger that bite. That's basically the key thing to when you look at underwater footage. Ooh, that was crazy. That's one of the key things when you look at underwater footage. The trigger that make these fish strike, all right? Also, these fish now, as the boat is moving and these fish are moving with the current, it's very easy for them to keep up with these baits, all right? There's no reason for you to get bit and drop back to a fish. You don't have to do that. These fish very easily keep up with your baits, all right? So what's happening here is they're catching up to your bait and they're kind of swimming forward with it, so you don't know you have a fish on. What's one of the key things here is constantly, if you're doing those types of rigs, you just constantly want to just jig it and lift that rod tip up, because that fish may have that bait in its mouth
And the only way you're gonna know is when you're coming up to 12 o'clock, you go, oh, there he is, and you're gonna just give him a little low, you're gonna set that hook a little better, right? So constantly, if you're doing that type of fishing, you're gonna be moving that rod tip, get that bait dancing underwater, trigger those fish to really attack it. You'll have multiple fish flying one bait, make them trigger, and then set them up, all right? Constantly lift up that rod tip. You're not gonna scare these fish. When these fish are feeding, the last thing you're gonna do is scare them. More so, you'll aggravate the fish, especially a fluke. All the footage I've looked at, underwater footage that I've taken and I've seen of other people take, these fish don't spook. They just constantly want to attack that fish, but they want to see some type of movement, all right? And that was basically the gist of the seminar. It was telling these anglers who they're, you know, these guys are all going into tournaments here, to move that bait, do something weird with that bait to trigger that bite.
All right, thanks for watching Kid Coach Cheese Outdoors.
Subscribe and get a free brownie.